UPSC Essentials. This quote means, the proletarians have nothing to lose but their chains. On the centenary week of the USSR's official creation, a look at a famous quote from Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels that inspired the Soviet experiment. It also finds relevance in the World History section of the UPSC syllabus, under GS Paper 1. One reason for 19th century philosopher Karl Marx's enduring appeal to date is his analysis of capitalism's ills. Marx in his lifetime saw only the nascence of industrial capitalism. Today, we see it at its zenith. Yet his insight into the injustice and exploitation that marks the system continues to be as relevant today, if not more. In his famous work The Communist Manifesto, Marx and his collaborator, Friedrich Engels, write, the proletarians have nothing to lose but their chains. A simple quote, it has a profound message describing the state of workers under capitalism and making an appeal to them to fight for change. On the centenary of the creation of the USSR, the first and largest attempt to put Marx's words into action, we explain what these lines by Marx and Engels mean and how they fit in today's time. It also finds relevance in the World History section of the UPSC syllabus, under GS Paper 1. Also read what was the Communist Manifesto. The Communist Manifesto was originally published in 1848. It was a political pamphlet co-authored by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, two of the leading public intellectuals in Germany at the time. According to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, a manifesto is a written statement declaring publicly the intentions, motives, or views of its issuer. We generally hear the term used most commonly by politicians or political parties during election campaigns. For instance, in the 2019 elections in India, a key aspect of Congress's manifesto was Nyay, a basic income scheme targeting the poorest people in India. The Congress identified a problem, poverty, poor human indicators, etc., and proposed a solution that it felt will fix the problem. So goes the Communist Manifesto. It is a short document that both identifies the problems of capitalism and suggests action to bring change. While Marx's Capital or Engels' The Condition of the Working Class in our more sophisticated analytical pieces, the manifesto is an accessible document meant to be read by everyone, especially the working class. Its power lies in its simplicity. The full quote and its meaning. The full quote reads, the proletarians have nothing to lose but their chains. They have a world to win. Working men of all countries, unite. These words contain not just an assessment of capitalism's status quo, but also a guide for how to bring change. The proletarians, loosely speaking, proletarians or members of the proletariat, refer to the working classes. In more simple terms, proletarians are people who earn wages in return for their labor, which they sell to the capitalist. Factory workers, construction workers, and farm workers, not land-owning farmers but people who actually work in the fields, are all examples of the proletariat. In Marxist theory, the proletariat is that class in society which lives entirely from the sale of its labor power and does not draw profit from any kind of capital. Marxism states that capitalism is built on the backs of proletarians' labor rather than capital itself, as classical economists would argue. It is labor that turns resources or raw materials into commodities for sale. However, under capitalism, while the labor is paid in wages, more on that later, it is the capitalist who earns the profit. According to Marx, this is the inherent injustice of capitalism. In Explained Nothing to Lose But Chains, the prescient question is, why are proletarians proletarians? According to Marx, the defining feature of proletarians is that they own no capital, machines, tools, equipment, land, raw materials, etc. Thus, they are reliant on capitalists, the owners of capital, to be able to produce anything, even though they themselves are the ones who do the production. This is a system that chains the proletarians, that ties them in their existence to the mercy of the capitalist. Think of when there are mass layoffs because a novel technology makes the skills of a worker obsolete. Or when workers are paid under the minimum wage, which is anyway paltry, simply because they have no leverage in their relationship with the capitalist. Thus Marx and Engels say, proletarians have nothing to lose but their chains. Crucially, the proletariat did not come into existence in a vacuum. It was with the expansion of capital that craftsmen became workers. This process continues today, in its own shape and form. Think about how Amazon has wrecked the business of small booksellers and publishers. Or how advancement in technology has killed many cottage industries. Capital constantly expands, consolidating itself and creating more and more inequalities in society. Working men of the world must unite now that Marx and Engels have stated the problem that workers under capitalism are exploited. The second part of the quote offers an idea for change, highlighting arguably the most important tenet of Marxist politics, solidarity among workers. One of the fundamental reasons why capitalism continues to prevail to date, despite ample evidence of its unjustness, is because of the individualist philosophy that accompanies it. One example is the American dream, or the myth that tells people to work hard to climb up the social ladder, essentially individualizing what is a systemic issue. Work hard, do well, or conversely, if you are not doing well, you do not work hard enough. As humans struggle in their pursuit of happiness, they do not even realize the deep rooted injustice in the world and their role in perpetuating it. Thus, Marx and Engels call for unity among workers across the world. They call for a rejection of petty national identities or the many ways in which the poor are pitted against the poor. Rather, they call for solidarity based on the common proletarian class. Effectively, this means Mukesh Ambani, Indian capitalist, and Jeff Bezos, American capitalist, have more in common with each other than they do with their fellow countrymen. Similarly, workers across the world have more in common with each other than they realize. It is this unity born out of class consciousness that is fundamental to overthrowing capitalism, according to Marx and Engels. Relevance today also explains the USSR came and went. So did systems in most countries that ostensibly adopted communism. Marx and Engels have been criticized on many counts, such as the fact that their theories do not give much thought to individual action, and that they give supremacy to economics as a mode of analysis above all else. For instance, while there are various reasons for the fall of communist regimes across the world, one being that they were never genuinely communist in the first place as envisioned by these philosophers, what is still undeniable is that capitalism has aspects that are deeply unjust. The ideas of workers' solidarity have also helped in the creation of labor unions that demand better working conditions for all workers. If nothing else, the pandemic exposed the naked exploitation of workers in the working class. While for some, the pandemic brought the luxuries of work from home and online ordering, others struggled to survive as jobs were lost and wages fell, even as profits among the richest soared. Therefore, as capitalism continues to exert its influence on workers across the world, Marx and Engels' manifesto stays relevant.